Welcome to After the 80. I'm your host, Terry Pascoe, and on today's show, we'll take a look at last weekend's results in the Intrust Super Cup, catch up with Cameron Cullen from the Redcliffe Dolphins, and we'll have a quick chat with Connor O'Brien from the Gold Coast Bulletin. As per usual, Anthony Breeze joins me on the panel. Mate, what do you think of the weekend?
No, some great games in the Intrust. Obviously, the Origin's coming up. That's a vocal point. So if you're a rugby league fan, this is the time of the year you're happy.
Well, it is Origin Day. It was Origin morning for us. There's nothing more exciting, is there?
Oh, well, not in rugby league, it's not. It's the pinnacle, and you can see why it is the pinnacle. It's state versus state.
All right, well, if you want to join in the conversation, you can find us on Facebook. Just search Phoenix Media Hub and leave your comments below. Now, let's take a look at the results from round 13 of the Intrust Super Cup. Central just not getting over the line, Bomber. They're just like, look, they were without their star players, Jack Madden, Billy Gilbert, and Bill Cullen, but they're just still missing that one thing, aren't they?
Yeah, well, the last couple of weeks they have played pretty well, actually. This probably wasn't one of their better games, but obviously when you lose players the calibre of Madden, Gilbert and Cullen, it's obviously going to be hard. And playing a Blackhawks team which is in form, it was very hard for him. So
another 70-minute performance from Dave Taylor, the big fella. He's 140-odd kilos. I mean, does it show that if he just drops that weight, he could still be a great player for a NRL side? Yeah,
well, obviously the TV screen doesn't make him look any thinner, does it? He looked a big boy there, but you can see that he's got the skills, hasn't he? So.
Well, that's right. He's still got it, so that's not a bad thing. It was a weekend of the number 42. We see that cropping up. I mean, if you had East and PNG, I mean, I wasn't great at maths, but I'm sure that's 42. Now, the other interesting thing that's come out is Ipswich coach Ben Walker's thrown a few jabs at the Burleigh tactics. We'll talk to Connor O'Brien about that shortly, which is very interesting, and it's the second loss in a row for the Ipswich Jets.
Yeah, well, obviously that's not obviously the Walker boys. They don't like losing, which obviously no one likes losing there. So obviously Ben seen something in the game there that obviously he wants the referees to pick up, and he's guaranteed a win for the Jets next up against Burleigh. So.
And Tweed Heads have ended their 6-game winning streak as well, with the Dolphins being too strong for their side, and Sunshine Coast getting a 1-point victory in a thriller. I actually thought they might have just missed out on that one, but it is what it is, I guess. It was a good field goal.
No, it was a very good game, that one.
But we'll talk about that in a moment. But first, let's have a look at the game that I took a particular interest in, which is Northern Pride up against South Slogan. Now, South Slogan ran away with this game in the first 12 minutes. They scored 3 tries in the first 12 minutes. It's incredible.
Yeah, well, that's been South got off to a great start there. 3 tries leading 16-0. And then obviously they did come back. After 17 minutes, we'd have 5 tries in this game. So obviously defence wasn't a big part of the opening part of this game.
And look, this was a game of the halves. I guess Clifford up against Scarlett. This could almost be a Origin Residence preview. But let's not forget, we just saw Guy Hamilton go for a try himself.
Yeah, well, obviously South have got some players out in the halves too that are obviously up for residence there. The halfback and 5'8" position for the residents is a lottery this year. There's so many good players there. And obviously Gideon scored that try. And
Guy Hamilton there shows the reason why he should be selected for Origin, because he didn't give up. Even though that was intercepted, he kept chasing, and that shows Origin potential.
Well, that just shows the little one percenters. That's what JT's known for, just them little 1 percenters where you don't give up and all that there. And like I said, he'll be a big chance. So.
Now, George Fye returns for South, obviously, because Broncos had the bye this week. But this game, 72 points in 80 minutes. That's incredible. That's almost a record, isn't it?
Oh, it'll be close to it there. We have seen some big scores there, but obviously, like I just mentioned earlier, defence wasn't the big part there. And when the score ends up 42-30, it just goes to show there. Obviously, both teams wouldn't be happy with their defence. Obviously, Northern Pride would be happy they won the game. So
you'd be happy, but you'd still be questioning, how did you let 30 points in? Or I guess if you're John Buchanan, you'd be asking, how did we let 42 points in? I mean, I know it went downhill just before half-time where Travis Burdell was sin-binned, but surely, we've seen a lot of statistics lately, especially in the NRL, where teams seem to lift when they've got a player missing from the field.
Yeah, well, that's it. I think it's a mindset. When a player goes off the field, their mindset is, I've got to do a little bit extra work. So that's where, when the ball goes to the left there's a bit more chasing and all that there. And obviously your mind's on the job that that we are one player down, that we've got to lift a little bit more. So.
Well, let's just hope they can learn to stay on the park and follow the rules, I guess. But that's ex-referee of me, mate. So, what was the game that you liked on the weekend?
I liked the Sunshine Coast North game. It was a really good game. It ebbed and flowed there. The Falcons got off to a big start there. They led 14-4 there, as you can watch through the highlights there. They kicked the penalty goal early there, and then they got the first try. Like I said, went out to 14-4, but they just let Sunny Coast come back into it. And
that was lucky, and that was the first try for Justin Olm. I guess that was a good try to clean up an error, but it's his second try, which will come up shortly, which really got tongues talking.
When it comes up shortly, they just watch him. He runs the ball hard, and he's a very hard man to. He's had a bit of NRL experience there. He charged onto the ball there, very hard to pull down, and he just charges over the line. This is Lockie Rowe going over for the Sunshine Coast, which was their comeback.
Yeah, and as you can see there, Alex Bishop returned for North Devils, and this is going up against one of his sides as well. He did play for Sunshine Coast last year, so I'm sure there would have been a bit of chirping happening in the middle of the field. Yeah,
well, normally when you go up against your old team there, your old teammates like to give it to you. Sometimes they like to give it to you in the tackle, but a lot of the times it's voice-activated sledging that comes your way. So,
yeah, and look, North now have lost 5 games out of their last 6, and they have got the dynamite halfback in Todd Murphy. I just wonder what's missing. And they've also got Sam Takatizi, I should say.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Here's the try here.
Yeah, this is that Olam try we were talking about earlier there.
That's incredible. Like, you just carrying blokes over and just running a good line.
Just like a little Mel Meninga. We can charge it up there. He was hard, but like you said there, they were just, in the end there, they got away with it at the end, and obviously given the 2 points, and North, their slide down the ladder continues.
Well, let's see what happens this week. They do take on Redcliffe, but that footage was courtesy of the QRL media. If you'd like to see all the highlights from round 13 of the Intrust Super Cup, please head to qrl.com.au. Now, coming up shortly, we'll catch up with Cameron Cullen, who's the captain of the Redcliffe Dolphins. But first, let's have a look at the competition ladder after round 13. Redcliffe moving up to second position, Bomber. That's quite incredible.
Yeah, well, Redcliffe, they had a little bit of indifferent form there. They had a loss to the Ipswich Jets a couple of weeks ago there, but obviously they're back now. When they get the players back from the Broncos there, like we said, Katini Staggs there and Tom Opacek there, they're a very strong team there. Burleigh jumped away, great win on the weekend there. They're the benchmark at the moment. And South Logan up there, and then you go to the Pride, who had a good win, and then North, Ipswich and Tweed all had losses on the weekend, so they would have liked to have wins and jump away from the second page.
Yeah, look, and it is a bit of contrast. You've got obviously teams moving, and I know that's part of the competition, but you know, North and Ipswich, they seem to be both going on as sliders together in the competition. Tweed Heads, you know, they went up against a Redcliffe side, but it was a Redcliffe side that was full of stars as well. So you just, you know, you wonder how they'll go when those stars are playing for Broncos again. Let's have a look at the other page of the ladder. I don't think too much has changed on that side. Other than East Tigers, they've won 2 games in a row now, and that's showing some good signs for Scott Sipple's side, with Brodie Croft and Billy Walters really starting to boost that side. Yeah, well,
as you can see, teams 9, 10 and 11 are all on 12 points, and the teams in 6, 7 and 8 are only 1 win ahead. So them 3 sides there, obviously with a win there, can easily jump up into the top half. So.
We just saw Redcliffe had a comprehensive win against the Tweed Heads Seagulls at home, 42-16. Now, this was ending their 6-game winning streak. So joining us now, you could say the villain of the hour is the captain of the Dolphins, Cameron Cullen. Mate, thank you for joining us.
No worries, mate. Good to be here.
Mate, solid win on the weekend. Your team really tested the Tweed Heads defensive line.
Yeah, mate, I think it was probably one of our most polished performances. And as you say, they were coming off the back of 6 wins. So we knew that it was going to be a tough game and we had to turn up. So I think for us, we played our most mistake-free footy, and yeah, I think it was one of our most polished performances.
I wonder if that was credited to me not being in the crowd this week, Cameron.
Definitely. I think you got to stay away, mate. You got to stay away from us.
All right, mate. You also had the return of Staggs, and Obachek for the side, both scoring tries as well.
Yeah, the inclusions of those boys were really helpful. They're pretty quality outside backs. So I think we might lose Katoni this week, but we've got blokes there that have been doing a really good job as well. So for us, it's just about just playing the same footy as we played on the weekend, mistake free, and yeah, I thought we were very, very good on the weekend.
Mate, what have you thought of Katoni's debut in first grade? You've played a bit of first grade yourself. I guess what's your take on his performances so far?
Oh, I think he's been outstanding, mate. The thing about Katoni is, he'll play any position you put him. He just gets out there, he runs hard, he tackles hard. There's not much else to it. He's very consistent in the performances he puts in. As soon as he got picked in our team, he was our best player week in and week out. So it's a credit to him. Probably all the hard work he's put in. He's made the transition to first grade pretty seamless, and he sort of cemented his spot on the bench there with his performances. So it's good on him. I hope he's there for the rest of the year. Unfortunate for us, but really good for him.
Mate, you're off for some neck scans today. Is everything okay?
Yeah, I hope so, mate. I've got a little bit of pain in my neck from the weekend. I think I got hit after I kicked the ball, like most of us little halfbacks do. So yeah, I've had a little bit of neck pain. I'm getting a scan this morning, and hopefully it settles down and I'll be sweet for the game this weekend.
Mate, we've all seen what Jonathan Thurston said about the late hits on halfbacks or both the halves. I guess what's your take on it? I know he was quite blunt with what his thoughts were, but I guess coming from an Intrust Super Cup level.
Yeah, I mean, I think we understand it's part of the game. Like most players are told to make the halfbacks day a tough day. If you got a half like Jonathan Thurston, and even in Intrust Super Cup, any half that's sort of integral to their team, players are told to make it a tough day for them. Hit them, make them know you're coming and stuff like that. So it is part of the game, but I think it's more of a tackle to tackle basis. Like some of the ones on Jonathan Thurston have been a joke. Like they've been late as, and I think that stuff needs to definitely get scrubbed out of our game. But it is on a case to case basis. Most of them are fine, and it's what all players are told to do. So part of the game.
Now, 2016, you played for the Queensland resident side. Almost got picked last year for New South Wales, but thank God that didn't happen. Do you think you'll make a return to the Queensland side this year?
Oh, mate, I'm not sure. There's a lot of quality halves, and I've just been concentrating on my job for Redcliffe, which has been a little bit of a different role for me this year. Last year, I was more of a runner, and I played a lot of 5'8" as a genuine running 5'8", and this year I've taken on more responsibility. I've got the C next to my name at Redcliffe, and I wanted to be the genuine halfback and control the team. So I've really been concentrating on my role at Redcliffe and trying to play that role really well. And if I get an opportunity in the Queensland residents team, that'd be great. I'd love nothing more than to throw the Queensland jersey on again.
No worries, mate. Well, I'm a big fan of yours, so I'm already letting John Buchanan know that you can't pick Brodie Croft. He lives in Melbourne. You can't pick these players because they're in Melbourne as well. So you're a shoo-in in my eyes.
Oh, thanks, mate. Well, you'll have to send him a message. Send him a text message. Let him know.
Will do. All right, mate. You got a big clash against North on the weekend at Bishop Park. A few past Redcliffe players you're going up again should spice things up.
Yeah, mate. It'll be a really tough match against those boys. They've been going really well this year, and yeah, as you say, there's a few ex-Reddy boys, so I'm sure there'll be plenty of banter and plenty of things going on in the middle of the field there.
All right, mate. Well, good luck, and I hope you play well on the weekend.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
Now, speaking of spicing things up, in today's Gold Coast Bulletin or on their website, Ben Walker's thrown a few jabs at the Burleigh Tactics on the weekend. Joining us from the Bulletin is their sports reporter, Connor O'Brien. Mate, what's going on?
Yeah, after the game out there at Ipswich on Saturday, the Jets co-coach Ben Walker had a few comments, I guess, about the Burleigh Tactics, and basically said if once the referee had trouble beating beating Burleigh next time around. I know the Bears, they haven't come out publicly swinging, but I know they're not too impressed behind the scenes. And basically they've kind of pointed to the fact that the last 7 matches they've won by an aggregate of 252 to 112. So I think they can kind of, say that they've got it covered, more than just tactics there.
Now, this is, I guess, a bit of a remarkable Burleigh Bears side. They had a few debutants on the weekend, but I guess they'll be back to full strength this weekend.
Yeah. Look, they had Zay Wallace and Jesse Savage come in against the Jets, but they've got Matt White back from suspension, Pat Polatoni back from family commitments, and Blake Leary back from ankle injury. So they're going to be very, very strong this weekend against Northern Pride, who are going really well, actually. Be a really good match there at Busy Park on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, well, let's just hope the Pride don't let in as many tries. Well, I guess for Burleigh's sake, we hope they do. But yeah.
Yeah, well, look, no, it'll be good. Jake Clifford is getting a lot of raps up there at the Pride, and Burleigh are going to have to turn up. They've still been struggling to put 80 minutes together, so I think that's something that Jimmy Lenahan will be looking for them to do this weekend.
Now, we just spoke with Cameron Cullen from Redcliffe. Their attack was just too good for Tweed.
Yeah, look, you're dead right. I mean, 42 to 16, it was pretty convincing stuff. I mean, Tweed, I think, they went in a little bit undermanned compared to the side that took them to 6 wins in a row. They had 4 Titans guys out that Garth Brennan decided to rest, and Braden McGrady, their strike centre, out for the year, injured. So I guess, they probably saw it coming a little bit, but yeah, Redcliffe were far too good.
Now, Bryce Cartwright set to make his debut in the Intrust Super Cup this weekend. Where will he go? Will it be Burleigh or Tweed?
Possibly. I've been trying to chase this myself. I've been trying to work out this. It's up in the air at the moment, basically. He might have one more week before he makes an Intrust debut. Brennan, I think, is just looking at keeping Cartwright in the mix, just with Origins around Jai Arrow, Jared Wallace, see if those guys get through. So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe it's the following week, and I'm sure either of those clubs would like to have Bryce on board. Pretty talented player.
You've been very kind to him. He is a very talented player, but I guess, those last couple of games with not even being close to putting his body on the line, I just really don't know if Burleigh or Tweed would want him in their two form sides.
Yeah, look, I mean, he's got a lot of talent. He's obviously got a lot of things he's got to work on too. But I think that they'd be happy to have him as long as he's buying in, and probably right. As long as he's putting his body on the line, I'm sure they'd be happy to have him. But both of them are going pretty well, so if he's not putting his body on the line, I guess they'd be kind of asking questions. But I mean, we've seen from 2016 the year that he really set the world on fire for Penrith. I mean, he can play footy. It's just about getting back to that level.
All right, Connor, well, thank you very much for your time. And quickly, do I get a tip for tonight?
Yeah, look, I'm wearing blue for a reason, and I think Blues by 10 tonight. So, it should be a good game, though. Looking forward to all these new faces out there. All
right. Connor O'Brien there from the Gold Coast Bulletin. Thank you very much for everything.
Thanks.
Now, let's take a look at this weekend's games. Round 14 of the Intrust Super Cup. Some big clashes there. The TV game being Burleigh and Pride, Bomber.
Yeah, well, that's going to be a big clash there. Burleigh, the form team of the competition, 4 points at the lead, and they're Pride in pretty good form too. So, yeah, that will be a big clash down there at Busy Park.
And Falcons got up against our Slogan. This will be it's another must-win for Falcons. I think if they want to play decent finals football, they really got to be stepping up. So this will be a good test for that side.
Yeah, well, obviously the Falcons need a win to keep up there, but South Logan also need the win too. So they want to consolidate themselves up in the top 4.
As mentioned earlier, North's up against Redcliffe at Bishop Park. That's at Sunday game, so that's good afternoon football there on the hill at Bishop Park.
Yeah, well, it's always a good ground to go to if you're a North supporter down there. The home supporters obviously don't like going down there to Bishop Park, but that'll be a decent clash too. Redcliffe hitting form last week.
And this is the other interesting clash is Wynnum Manly Seagulls up against Ipswich Jets. That's at Cougar Eye. So let's see if Ipswich can turn a foot and get a win behind them.
Well, obviously they'll go into the game favourites, the Jets, obviously, but Wynnum not in that good a form. But obviously when you're playing at home there, you always do step up a little bit more. So, yeah, it'll be interesting.
All right. Well, as per usual, Bomber, thank you very much for coming on the show.
No worries, and go the Blues tonight.
I was going to say, what is your tip for tonight?
Oh, I think the Blues by about 8. It'll be a lot closer game, lower scoring game.
All right. And also a big thank you to Cameron Cullen and Connor O'Brien for joining the show. That's all the time we have for today. I'm tipping Queensland by 15. So if you'd like to keep up to date with the show, make sure you jump onto our Facebook page, Phoenix Media Hub. We'll catch up next week.